Switching gears a little bit, you talked about study manager to study coordinator, to CRA to study coordinator. A lot of people are searching for jobs and they're based all over the country. You don't have to give too much detail here, but could you say like what part of the country you're based in? You could just say like Northeast, like whatever,
Yep.
like
So
DMV.
I'm based in the Northeast, more specifically in like the greater New York area.
Okay.
So that's where I am. And I can say that if you are in the Northeast, it's very difficult to find clinical research positions. But if you are looking to start off and you are flexible in terms of location, I highly recommend looking within the Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Massachusetts area. Those three areas are the easiest places. So if you live in Rhode Island or Connecticut or any of those places, you really want to try and be flexible in terms of location. That's where you'll find the work.
For sure. All right. Thanks for mentioning that, because a lot of people, you can do as much resume magic as you want, because a lot of people reach out to me and to us for, looking at their resume, but really a lot of it is based on location as well. Even for myself, my first gig, I was moving from Missouri to where I am now, and a lot of people just rejected me based on my location at first, because I wasn't putting that I was based in the area. So they're saying, "Oh, we're gonna have to probably pay them to move," or something like that.
Right. Yeah. So one trick that I've noticed that worked for a friend of mine is to not put your address on your resume, and instead put willing to relocate. And you can, if you are not expecting to be compensated for your relocation, she actually put that on her resume, willing to relocate without requiring compensation. And
Ooh.
that really helped her because I think the big issue was that she came from a state where clinical research wasn't really booming, and she was trying to find work. And I mean, she noticed such a huge difference within a short period of time. Even with Indeed, she would submit the resumes, just that one-click apply, and that helped. And then on LinkedIn, she actually put that in her headline, seeking opportunities, willing to relocate without being compensated, and that helped her get so many messages through LinkedIn about positions and job descriptions, and that really changed her career.
What a gem. I didn't even think about putting that in the resume, but that's genius right there. So I appreciate that. That's a super gem. But yeah, it makes sense because they don't want to pay for people to relocate for entry-level positions usually, because usually you're not going to get a huge return for the company for entry-level positions. So yeah, so that's great right there. But yeah, definitely the Northeast is great for clinical research typically, and I know in the Boston area you've got a lot of sponsors up there. CROs as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that even California, from what I hear, is very good in terms of clinical research opportunities. They also have a lot of startups in that area. So if you don't want to work for a company that's big or well established, and you're looking for something to really start up and then also contribute to the development phases of a company, then Cali, for example, is a great idea, or New York City has a lot of startups now too, and that's where you can get in. I don't know if, and that may require you to be able to be willing to wear multiple hats, and that's something that you have to decide while you're applying to positions.
Right. Those multiple hats, I mean, especially if you want to be a CRA, kind of like how you did, they offered it after you had some experience. That's a really good way to, kind of get into the role, is, get your foot in the door as something else, and then you can kind of meander your way over there.
Yep.
Just through working hard and networking within the company and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. So now transitioning to this other, I guess it's a side hustle that you have of consulting. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So there are a lot of companies now that have started up to provide services to sites and sponsors who are having trouble recruiting for their studies. And these companies basically run ads or platforms that help attract qualified potential subjects. But then there's that unmet need of who's going to screen these patients and help the site really bridge that gap between the referrals that come in through social media or advertising and actually coming in and showing up for the first visit, the screening visit. So my job as a part of the consulting that I do is to actually contact these patients and kind of see if they're a good potential subject for a particular study. So I do the pre-screening aspect of it, and then if they do pass through my pre-screening, I pass them on to the site. In addition, if the sites have any suggestions, if they have any concerns about recruitment and how it's slow or how it's, we're sending them too many referrals and they can't handle that. It's my job to gauge how often we should run those ads and how often I should be sending those pre-screenings to the site, so that, if I talk to a potential subject and the site can't get them in the next 2 weeks, you're going to lose that subject most likely, because they're not going to take the whole process seriously. They, if you're serious about it, they'll be serious about it. So strategies like that, timing everything and then doing the screening, that's what I do on the side. I put in about 10 to 15 hours of that a week. Whether I increase that later on is really up to me, but that's a nice thing about doing consulting, that you can kind of make your own hours and determine how much work you take on.
Right.
And it's a great side hustle. That's the thing. Like, not every industry has that option, so with all of these startups that are coming up, if you can find a way to help out or contribute, and it's a part-time position, a lot of it you can do remotely, so you're not even going into another office after work, you're doing it from home.
Right. So how did you think about this? How did you get involved with that?
So while I was a coordinator, a lot of the studies that I worked on suddenly were taking on the sponsors of those studies were taking on these companies and giving them the task of helping recruit. So I worked with quite a few, and I didn't even know that, pre-screening was a thing that these companies offered. But over time, as I learned more about the studies and how the companies were helping, I actually realized that there were screeners that were doing this pre-screening before we were even getting the referrals. And so I just typed it into Indeed, I typed it into LinkedIn, and you actually will easily find positions here and there like that. I know that a lot of companies have even said, if you reach out to us, the biggest thing is that I think not every company posts all of its openings. So if you think that there's a position, and it's somewhere out there online, that a bunch of the positions are never posted anywhere online. They have this need, and an internal referral ends up taking that position, or, they kind of fill it by searching on LinkedIn. So it never hurts to reach out to companies and say, hey, I'm interested, do you have something? And if not, they'll hold on to your resume till something comes up.
Right.
And that's basically what I ended up doing for this one gig that I have right now.
Okay.
Just reaching out and saying that, I have coordinator experience, or I have study experience, and I'm really interested in doing this and helping out. And 2 months later, I was all set up, and I've been working on a bunch of studies and with a bunch of sites since then.
Okay. So do you reach out to the sites yourself and offer your services, or is it through another company that you do this?
So it's through another company. So I am contracted through another company, but I work as an independent contractor.
Got it.
The owner of that patient recruitment company reaches out to the site. So this is how it kind of works. The sponsor will reach out to the patient recruitment company and say, hey, we need help recruiting.
Right.
And then they will say, this is the entire list of the sites that we have open for this particular study. Feel free to reach out and ask them if they would like these services. And a lot of them, and most of them, do say yes. And in that case, I get the list of all of the people who said yes.
Okay.
And I reach out. The nice thing is that because I work on the East Coast, I'm assigned a lot of sites that are on the West Coast.
Perfect.
So there's that 3-hour gap. So even when I get home from work at 6 o'clock, technically it's only 3 o'clock, and that's perfect. I can do a decent 3 hours if I want to of work. On the weekends, it's really convenient too. If you don't have any plans, you can make some money while sitting at home.
There it is, man. That's a great side hustle. So do you need some experience to do this, or do you think anyone can do this, in a way to get experience in the industry?
I think that any company would want to see that you have some type of healthcare knowledge, or if you have been a medical scribe before or a research assistant before and helped screen, anything where you can show that you know how to ask the right questions if you're given the inclusion exclusion criteria.
Okay.
So if you worked as a research assistant with human subjects in college, then this would be something that you can look into. If you were a medical scribe, you can look into it. If you're an EMT and you want to get into clinical research, I think that would be very easy because you have that healthcare knowledge. And then anyone that's already in the industry, as long as you have an understanding of how to speak with potential subjects, if you have good bedside manner, you would be a good potential for the position.
Okay, perfect. All right, cool. So do you know how much longer you'll continue to be doing this? You think you'll be doing it for the remainder of your career, or do you think there will be a time where you're not doing this?
So I would like to do it for as long as possible. At times I really enjoy doing it, and I think, what if I want to do this full time? Like if I can find people. The only thing is because this is work from home, you have to not want to go into an office. And although I love doing work from home, I really do like going into an office at least a few times a week, kind of seeing people, and that's where you network too. You meet a lot of people.
Right.
On the sponsor side right now, I meet a lot of new people. I connect with them. I learn a lot from them. Working from home, you're kind of isolated into your own corner. But I don't know, maybe 5 years from now, once I've gotten a lot more experience and I want to have something that's low-key, flexible hours, I think that it's a great thing to be able to do. So hopefully I'm able to do it for the long haul, because I think it's a great fit. I mean, flexible hours, being able to do weekends, that's great.